Did you know Super Awesome Mix has an app? Go to the Apple App Store today and download Super Awesome Mix. It's free. You could start creating and sending your own digital mixtapes in just a few clicks. Also, there's links to our Instagram account and a link where you can follow your favorite podcast. Speaking of which, welcome back to another Super Awesome Mix. My name is Matt Sidholm, alongside my co-host and co-founder of Super Awesome Mix, Samer Abu Salbi. Samer, how are we doing this week?
Doing real well. I cannot believe it's already time for another new music mix, and this time for March. Like, how are we here already?
Yeah, it does seem like the year is flying by. And we decided to do this monthly, and so we're on our third monthly music mix here, monthly new music mix. No shortage of new music, though.
No, and there's some really strong contenders in this one for like what will be best of the year. I think we're starting off the year on a really good track. It's going to be tough at the end of this year when we have to pick our best of, because there are already a lot that I'm like, well, I'm going to be listening to this all year long. There's no way that this could be topped.
I had that thought, especially listening to this one. There were a couple songs that I'm like, man, I just love this song, or I love this album. Like, there's more of this album that I want to get into, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But a ton of good stuff. So let's get into it without further ado. Okay, we're gonna start off with your pick. You went with Tormenta by Gorillaz, featuring Bad Bunny.
Yeah, good old Bad Bunny having just like the run of his career right now. Incredible. I mean, he's everywhere. he's going to be featured on like a Hans Zimmer track at some point. And just imagine
Hans Zimmer
collaborations
featuring Bad Bunny. It's like, wait, and it'll still work somehow, right?
It's going to work so beautifully. Yeah, like Hans, if you're listening, I'm telling you, Interstellar with Bad Bunny. Do it. It's going to blow people's minds. So yeah, Gorillaz has a new album. And I love this track off of it. And not just because Bad Bunny's on it, but I love the vibe of this track. Like, this is such a good kind of like island, beachy, spring break kind of vibe to it. Like, I just feel so relaxed listening to this song. And I don't know, every time I play it, I'm just in a good mood all of a sudden. And I really also like the lyrics. Like, lyrically, he's singing about kind of meeting someone who takes like the fear away and like making the most of today. I think they're saying, she's the sun in the storm. So like meeting someone that kind of is your sun in the middle of a storm. So it's one of those nice ones where it's like the vibe is good and the lyrics aren't about some awful tragedy or like a breakup or something where you need to feel bad liking it.
Totally agree. I loved the vibe of this one. Like, that's the first thing that gets you. I also thought it was really cool. I like when, like, an artist like Gorillaz, this isn't something that I would immediately associate them with, this type of sound, right? And so I like in a collaboration where when you talk about featuring someone, you really are integrating that person into your music, right? And here I think they do such a good job of that, because this is heavy like Bad Bunny influence. Most of it's in Spanish, but it's really I thought it was really well done how they featured the artist, because sometimes when you get the featuring, it's like, all right, they come in and they spit a few bars and that's it, right? Like, here it's like they're really like weaving him into the song, and you could tell it was a true collaboration.
Exactly. Yeah. Your move, Hans Zimmer. Your move. All right. Let's go on to your first pick. This is a group I was not familiar with, but I really like them. And I was starting to listen to like the other songs, I think, on this EP. But this is Future's Bet by U.S. Girls.
Yeah, U.S. Girls, funny enough, is a pop group made up of one woman, Megan Remy, and she's from Toronto. So it is neither plural nor U.S. based. So
wonderful.
Yeah, right off the bat, I was like, okay, I'm in. I like that. A little different. But she's got a few albums. Her newest one is called Bless This Mess. It's coming out this year. She wasn't someone I was familiar with coming off the bat, but I don't know. I just loved the sound of this. Like, she's described as pop, but this one had a little bit more of a rock feel to it. So I really like that. She could definitely pop up on, if we do another Women Who Rock mix, I think there's probably some songs that will fit here. The lyric that stood out here is when she just said, "Nothing is wrong, everything is fine. This is just life. This is just life." And I was like, that's a good way to put it. That it's like things are gonna be messy, and hey, everything's okay because this is kind of how it should be.
Exactly, yeah, that was the lyric that I called out too, and the one right before that where she sings, "I'm laying down a futures bet, there's always gonna be someone alive." And I like that too, I think sometimes we can kind of spiral into a dark future, especially I've been watching Last of Us, and, like, that's not a good show to watch
I
if
was gonna say all the popular TV shows are about everything going away.
everything exactly.
It's like we had like 10 years of The Walking Dead, then it's like, all right, hey, we're over that. And then The Last of Us comes on, everyone's all in on The Last of Us.
I know. Oh my gosh. I know. It's so I need this. I wrote I need this vibe right now. Everything is just fine. Like we're not gonna become mushroom people anytime soon. I spent like 2 solid days researching like, is this possible? Because I was so freaked out after watching the pilot of that show. Um the short answer is like it's not really like it's possible, sure, but the chances are like 1 in 10 billion and it would take a very long time. It's not gonna just happen overnight, so
I'm
you can relax, you can keep eating mushrooms.
I'm gonna write a TV series, right, where someone goes to the future and it's better.
Right, I love
And
that.
everything's
I
okay.
like that.
And it's like
Yeah.
they sort of short circuit because everything is better. Like they don't understand why it got better.
Mm.
And yeah, I think
Oh my
that could
gosh, I
be
love that idea.
could be an
Like,
interesting.
like a kid, like a millennial or yeah, one of us, our generation, is used to just constantly being pounded in the face with news, goes into the future and is like, is the odd one out because everything is actually great now. Like, I
Right.
love that
He's
premise.
just this insane, like, paranoid person because
Right,
he just thinks something's going wrong at every turn, but then it's like, no. And then somebody's there to sort of dispel whatever conspiracy theory he brought from the past. And
right,
it's like,
right.
no, no, no. We
Uh,
discovered in 2040 that this happened and blah, blah, blah. And then we just fixed it. And it was like, oh, okay. Well,
this is the making of a great sitcom right
I
here, I
think
think.
so.
It's gonna be
Yeah. And it
awesome.
just,
Yeah.
that way people could go to bed on Sunday night not fearing for their lives. That's the hope, right?
That's a small ask,
Yeah.
I think. It's a small ask.
HBO, call us. Okay. We're ready.
We're ready.
All right. Your next pick, appropriately enough, just based on my premise that I just laid out, the song called Hope by NF.
Yes, we all need a little bit of hope for sure. And so I think I was immediately drawn to this song because of the title and also because I discovered NF last year and I've been obsessed with him. He's almost like, I mean, really, it's like an Eminem sound, right? Like I immediately think of Eminem. I think most people would. They have a lot of similarities, and lyrically, he talks a lot about his own struggles and kind of like fighting his demons. And in this song, that's really evident. He has these kind of like two alter egos, one that's NF and one that's like Nate, which is his name, like Nathaniel. So, and then if you watch the music video too, you see like two different versions of himself expressed. There's one dressed in white and there's one dressed in black. And he, just sings a lot about kind of struggling with constantly doubting himself and putting himself in a prison where he is his own jailer. And, I love so many lyrics on this song. I actually featured it on my podcast, Super Awesome You. Recently, it was one of my songs of the week because it's just, it's a reminder to believe in yourself. And this lyric here that I call out that I didn't in my show was, what a little bit of faith can do if you don't even believe in you, why would you think or expect anybody else that's around you to? And I mean, we hear that all the time, but it's absolutely true. Like it all begins with you and how you believe in yourself and you put that energy out there and like people are going to want to follow. Like they're like if you believe in you, like people are going to want to believe in you too. And so I just think it's like such a great message. The song amps me up. It's like actually one of my wake up songs now. It's a great way to start the day if you want like a day where you just kind of go and attack. So really excited for this new album. I can't wait to see what else is on it.
Yeah, totally agree. I wrote down the same thing about Eminem. Just like that's what came to mind. It also sounded like something that maybe would be in like Hamilton or some sort of musical like that, right? It had
Right.
kind of a feel to that as well. But yeah, no, I got fired up listening to this song. You know, the lyric I called out is what's my definition of success? Creating something no one else can, being brave enough to dream big, grinding when you're told to just quit, giving more when you got nothing left. And I just love that it's just like, you know, I love the doing something no one else can, and just
Yes.
keep going, and you know, all those types of things. And I think you hit on that a lot on your show, Super Awesome You. But I know we've talked about that a lot here with our different motivation mixes. So yeah, just a great find here. Really like the song.
Awesome. Yeah, I realize like the number one advice I could give to anyone is the realization. If you finally come to this realization, magic will happen. That like the one thing that no one else has in the world is being you. And as long as you realize that you have that over everyone else, like you're unstoppable. You can do whatever you want. So I really like that song for that sake. All right, let's move on to track number 4, another group that I was not familiar with, but I loved this one because it had such a throwback kind of like pop punk feel, and that's Modern Love by All Time Low.
Yeah, All Time Low is a band I was not really familiar with until my daughter got into them a couple years ago. They had a song called Monsters that still gets some radio airplay. That I think, yeah, that's when I think she first heard them, and then she just played a bunch of songs like them. They remind me of All American Rejects, like if you kind of
Yeah,
remember
I wrote
that.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
very similar sound, and I thought this one was actually a little bit of a departure from like their normal sound. Like this one was a slightly different, but you're right, it had the same kind of punk pop kind of feel to it. Um, what's another? It's almost like Blink 182 too, a little bit of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think they're pretty good generally, but this song stood out from their new album. I just love the chorus. Like, Stacy, please, I'm suffocating, choking on infatuation. You're obsessed with drugs and dating. Modern love's too complicated. And I just
Yes.
thought that was a really, really good verse, or a really good chorus, and just the whole song. I mean, it's just a good, like you called it, like a pop song.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah, no, it had, a lot of great lines. I also wrote down Sum 41 if we just wanna list off,
Yeah.
like, bands that that they kinda
If you
reminded
like
me of.
any of those bands, you'll like All Time Low. Yeah.
You're gonna feel very comfortable here. Great song. Yeah, I was really excited to listen to this one because I want, like, new music that kinda reminds me of older music I like, so
Sure.
it's always easier, right, when someone introduces you to a band like that. You're like, "Yeah, okay. Sounds great."
All right, your next pick. You've got Tell Everyone by Tech Nine.
Yes, Tech Nine, making an appearance on our Kansas City versus Philadelphia, which, go Chiefs. That was a great game. Chiefs,
That was,
played a great game. So how I imagine Tech Nine must have been very
must have
excited.
been excited. That's right.
Um, but yeah, ever since that mix, I've kind of rediscovered Tech Nine, and like I really like his rapping. Like it's so kind of powerful. You have a song coming up here that kind of reminds me of this one, in the sense of just like it sonically and you feeling all amped up listening to it. But I really like the kind of opening choir and like how the choir mixes in with his rapping. I love when like genres like that have no business being with each other, generally speaking, like kind of mash up together. So it's awesome. So um loved that. And then I also love the call out, tell him we the best though, like we at a DJ Khaled show. And I think that's great. I love the name that DJ Khaled has made for himself and how that's just become a thing. Like we the best. We talk about it all the time. So I think having it be in another rap artist song is even great. So yeah, cool song.
Well, it speaks to your point earlier. DJ Khaled just discovered that telling everyone he's the best was the secret to his success, right?
Right. And exactly, it comes back to just like believing in yourself because we all are probably just being like, well, he must be the best, right? He keeps telling us. At some point, you got to stop doubting it and be like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, I'm
he
in. Let's
must
just
be the
trust the
best.
guy. Okay. Just leave him alone. But yeah, this song I really loved. You pointed out the choir part, and that's the part that stood out to me too. And that part got me fired up amidst, his raps have so much energy to them. Like I really love that part
Hmm.
about him. And then, you add the choir to it, which is such a, departure and such a, break in the action, if you will. that yeah, got me fired up. And I just love the message, like tell everyone who you really are, tell everyone you're coming.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was great. So another good one. You're getting me fired up now, which I love. This is good.
Awesome. I like it. It's a good KPI for me on a personal level. um, all right, track 6, a megastar who really needs no introduction, has some new music, and you picked Flowers by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, this one, I think when Taylor Swift's album came out, we were like, she's going to win every Grammy in 2024 because of how weird the Grammy nominations are,
Right.
right? We talked about that. But then this song came along and I was like, well, hold on a minute. If anything's going to knock Taylor Swift out from a couple Grammy wins,
Right.
this might be it. I mean, Miley Cyrus, first of all, she's kind of on that same level from like a popularity
Yes.
standpoint. Talent wise, I'd say she has a better voice. Probably
Mhm.
doesn't write songs as well as Taylor Swift, but I mean, and she's certainly a little nutty, but man, she can sing. And this is just a great pop song, really well put together. So, I mean, this is going to be, if I could place, let's refer back to Future's Bet. If I could place a futures bet on next year's Grammy, I mean, I would take the longer odds on this one, beating out
Yeah.
maybe a Taylor Swift, which is kind of the odds-on favorite. But yeah, just a great pop song and a great message. Like, she doesn't need anybody else. She can kind of take care of herself.
Yeah, this is, I think she wrote specifically, it's like about getting over her ex-husband, Liam Hemsworth, um, which, I imagine is no small feat getting over any of the Hemsworth brothers. So good for you, Miley.
But if
Good
you're
for
gonna
you.
get over one, I mean, it would be Liam, right? Come on.
It'd have to be
Yeah.
Liam, of course. Next week we're featuring Liam Hemsworth
Oh
actually as a
God,
guest on the show.
I should really read ahead on the run sheet. This is not good.
Ah, I emailed it to you, man. Emailed it to
I
you.
don't read emails. You know that. All right. Your next pick. We've got $20 by Boy Genius.
Yes, Boy Genius is a group I was not familiar with, but I imagine that you might be familiar with the super group that it is made up of, which is Phoebe Bridgers, Julian Baker, and Lucy Dacus. Truly a super group, like amazing group of singers. This is their like first song since their 2018 EP. I love the vibe of the song, although to be honest, it's like one of those songs that falls in the category for me that I actually have no idea what they're singing about, and I don't even really care. I like tried to understand it. I was like, I don't need to know. It's fine. Like I just really like
It doesn't
I
matter.
really like it doesn't matter. Yeah. I just really like the sound and the feel of it. I love the chaotic ending where she's like just kind of screaming. Julie, I think it's Julian Baker and no, it might be Phoebe Bridgers who starts screaming at the end there. And just, I love a song that ends with a kind of a big crescendo, of course. And she apparently talks about, there's like a line in here about setting fires to things. And apparently Julian Baker had a run in with arson as a child. She said that she'd go behind the storm drain, smoke cigarettes, hide from her parents, and set stuff on fire. And here's the best part. She says, it was Tennessee. There wasn't a lot to do. Which someone, and maybe you can relate, is growing up in the South, sometimes there wasn't a lot to do. Granted, we grew up in, in like big
I
cities,
was
but
going to
still, like
say,
the
yeah,
culture,
look, shout out to
you know,
Nashville and Memphis. I mean, I feel like there's plenty to do in those cities,
you're
but I
right,
don't
right.
know what town she grew up in. So I'm not going to speak for the whole state.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, great song.
I agree. Yeah, this one was great, and I totally agree with you. The end, I mean, not just vocally, but even with their instruments, they really bring out that sort of desperation
Hmm.
that they do. That they're expressing there. I think they do a really good job of that with this song. So, yeah, and I also love when like I'm researching a group I've never heard of when it's immediately called out that it's a super group. Like that's
Hmm.
got to feel good for anybody, like if it was ever like if a podcast was like, yeah, no, this is a super group podcast, and like one of us were included on it, it'd be like, all right, hey, we're doing something right.
Yeah, I love that. We should probably do a super group mix actually, now that I'm thinking about
Oh,
it.
good
That'd be
call.
fun.
Yes, that's a good idea.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Feels appropriate for super awesome mix to do a super group mix. um, All right, well, we will get to work on that. And track 8 is appropriately called Work by Key Glock.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Key Glock, but I like this whole album. The album's titled Glaucoma 2. He spells glaucoma Glockoma. I imagine the 2 was just added because there's not actually a glaucoma 1. So maybe he just
Okay.
did it to not get, for SEO purposes, right? Like he just didn't want
Right,
people to
yes.
research the eye disease and end up on his album. So it was like, no, 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 we're
Although, I
glaucoma
mean, that's a
2.
a great that's a great way to get a lot of people to your site, you know?
Yeah, just name it after a disease that people are searching for.
Right.
Yeah. um, but I just loved his whole. I listened to most of this album, and he's got a great vibe, great energy, and this song, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. He just works. He just works, and he says that over
Mhm.
and over again about how hard he works. The line that made me laugh was when he talks about waking up and there's no pancakes, just syrup. I was like, yeah, we've
Yes.
all been there, right? Where you see that syrup sitting in the fridge and then realize you don't have anything else to go with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no pancakes, just syrup. That was the one I was gonna call out too. But I even love, the next line to give some credit to being grounded. He writes, 10 toes down, stay on alert. Like, I actually think it's a great message, right? Like, be where your feet are is something that people say a lot. Be present. Got your 10 toes down. So I really like that. Yeah. As you said, it's a good song of just like showing up and working, putting in the work. I really liked it. I wasn't familiar with his work either, but this is a really solid rap song, and I'm eager to check out the album.
All right. Track 9, your pick. You've got Over by Churches.
Yes, Churches with a V. So this is their first new material since 2021, so it's been a couple years. They say that this song is, quote, trying to exist in an escapist dreamscape when life is difficult, end quote. So really just trying to, like, I'm guessing, build an album to where they can escape to. And I think, it's something that we all kind of relate to. This line here, especially where they're singing, it's getting harder to breathe. So baby, put me to sleep till it gets better. So wake me up when it's over. It's over when it's over. Just tell me it was all a dream. And there have certainly been moments in these last 3 years, maybe more, maybe last 20 years, where you really kind of want someone sometimes to tap you on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, wake up!" And you're like, "Oh, thank goodness! Like that was just a horrible dream." Um, so I think that's very relatable. There's definitely moments where you kind of wish someone would do that, but here we are. It's, as far as I can tell, it's no dream. Um, but it's a great song. Very excited for new music from Churches, and have always just really liked their sound. Like this is a band that I've slowly started to like love over the years. So I'm pretty excited to hear this new stuff coming from them.
Yeah, I agree. Really love the sound. Reminded me a little bit of, I don't know, almost something like Madonna would come out with.
Hmm.
Had early Madonna. Like now, if I say Madonna, everyone just associates it with like electronic music, because that's kind of what she's evolved
Right.
into. But like early pop Madonna, this is kind of, if you like that, I think you're going to enjoy this. But you're right, she's really going through something, but it still has enough of kind of an upbeat vibe to it to where it falls in that category of like the music doesn't quite match the lyrics. Um,
Hmm. Right.
but I mean, it sounds great. It's really good, and I think it's well written. So yeah, good song.
Okay, track 10, the song that I mentioned kind of would go really well next to Tech Nine's Tell Everyone. This is In the Room by Dreamville, JID, Tierra Whack, and BJ the Chicago Kid.
Yeah, Creed 3 just came out, and this is off of the soundtrack. I am a massive fan of the Rocky movies. I've seen all the Creed. I've seen the two previous Creed movies. I've yet to see Creed 3, but I do want to check it out. I listened to the soundtrack because I was like, there's bound to be something on here that's going to get me fired up. And there was more than one song that fell in that category, which is
Awesome.
appropriate for Creed 3. But yeah, this is the one I
Yes.
picked. I think it had a great beat to it, and it was actually, it's funny because on the soundtrack there are a couple songs that have a ton of energy to them, but they're like less than 2 minutes long. Like I think they're just something kind of
Uh,
made for the movie, so I didn't
right.
want to include that one. So this one's a little bit more of a normal length song, but yeah, just thought it was awesome. Got me fired up and really excited to see the movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is like such a kind of strut song, like a confidence boosting song. I felt like a badass listening to it. Like it falls into that category. And I loved like there's so many great lines in this one, but I absolutely loved you need to work harder if your money can't be folded. I love that. Um, Me and my best friend growing up, like we always joked about having folding money, right? Like I think like, that's the dream. Like we just always wanted to walk around with a stack of dollars that we fold over and put into our pocket.
Right, right.
Um, I will say you can fold, like just ones. To get like $100, put it in ones. It's pretty good
That's
folding
true. That's
money.
not bad folding money. Yeah.
Not bad
It's a good
folding
place to
money.
start.
It can. It is. It is.
All
But
right.
yeah, great pick. Great song.
Well, sometimes in order to get all that folding money, okay, you've got to do what this next song says, which is Sacrifice by Cascade, Deadmau5, and Sophie Tucker.
Yeah, great song. We don't often feature EDM, but I'm trying to, kind of bring in more genres here and there, and not just kind of stick to what I know. We've had some great guests on the show, who've brought like EDM on as well. So this is definitely in that category. Really good electronic song. It's a much darker kind of one. But I think it works really well. The lyrics are very straightforward here. She is literally singing about how she's picking her career over her like love life and her relationships and her friendships and stuff, which I think sometimes people need to do. Like whatever the circumstances may be, they make that choice for themselves, and that's what works for them. So I just really liked this song. I like that it's a little bit different. It's not saying you can have it all. It is saying like it will take a sacrifice, and she's choosing the work over the people in her life. So I just thought that was like different and really interesting. And the mood here is again kind of darker as a result. And the music is just awesome. Like what a great drop. If you're into drops, this has a really good one. So I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, I liked it. You're right. We don't feature a lot of EDM music, but I thought what was different about this is exactly what you just laid out, which is there was a real message here, right? And sometimes, like
Yeah.
EDM music, you just get the sound of it for the entire of it, but here they mixed in a little, some lyrics. So I thought that was really cool, and really well done, and just different. So definitely worth digging into. This is an album. That's a collaboration with Cascade and Deadmau5, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, you could really tell these two like are working together. Like I think it could be a really interesting album when that comes out. If this is just kind of a preview of it, especially if they've got some other good collaborators coming on. But yeah, this one, definitely, not what I expected when I saw Deadmau5 on the listing. But, again, it was like I said, the lyrics gave a little bit stronger message than I would have expected from an EDM song.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. All right. Track number 12, a song where at first glance, both Sarah and I were like, did Matt understand the assignment? And we were like, but you did. Fear not. Matt understood the assignment. This is Pride in the Name of Love, Songs of Surrender by U2.
Yeah, okay. You've heard it. Pride in the Name of Love might be U2's most famous song. I tried to think about that. Might be one. They have so many hits over the years. In fact, I think they could be a good introduction to Mix down the line. To U2. Definitely a
Yeah.
band I grew up with. And this song's been around forever. Now, one of the really cool things they're doing with this Songs of Surrender album is it's almost like a greatest hits, but they're redoing all their songs. They're doing like acoustic versions of all these songs, and that you've probably heard of if you follow U2. But honestly, even if you haven't, you've probably come across these songs, and this definitely falls in that category. So this song has a lot of emotion to it as it is, like originally. I mean, it's kind of about Martin Luther King. And yeah, I mean, when they slow it down like this, and it's really a really cool sort of reimagining of the song, that I think they do a great job. So I'm really excited just because I like a lot of U2 songs. And so to hear sort of different versions of it from the band, I think will be really cool. But yeah, definitely something that can't wait for this album to come out.
Yeah, I think the way you said it is spot on. Like it's not just an acoustic album, right? Like I think often bands will do an acoustic album and it's their song, but it's, without a lot of the instrument. I mean, it's without a lot of the mixing and stuff. but it does sound different. Like I was listening to Beautiful Day, which is probably for me like the most familiar U2 song for me, and like it's different. It's interesting. It's clearly acoustic, like it's just vocals and stuff, but it's not the same song as the one that I was familiar to. So I really liked it. So yeah, I think what a cool way to kind of re-release an old album. I really like that when bands kind of, like you said, reimagine their catalog. Like I love with what Metallica did with their Black Album anniversary by inviting like every artist on the planet to do like a version of their song off of that album. I thought that was such a cool way to kind of commemorate 30 years of an album. So really cool. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to kind of hear a lot of these done over again in a different style.
And I'm sure it's cool for you too, who's been performing the same song for 40 years, to say, all right, how would we do this differently,
Right.
right?
Yes. I can't imagine. Yeah. That'd be like someone telling us to do like one podcast show over and over and over again.
Yeah,
Like I just
revisit
can't
that same
imagine.
mix. Just do that again. Like, what would that sound like? Yeah, that would be weird.
Right.
That'd be weird. So we're not going to do that. We're going to work on whole new mixes. But you've got a new music mix to keep you company in the meantime. So Sammer and I will get back to work like Key Glock told us to do. And we'll be back with another super awesome mix. And in the meantime, this is for Sammer, this is Matt, and we'll see you next time. Super Awesome Mix is brought to you by DLM. Make shopping easy with DLM, the one-stop shop for all your casual clothing needs. Shop DLMsupplyco.com and enter the promo code AWESOME at checkout to save 15% off your first purchase. That's DLMsupplyco.com.